What's going on? Welcome to another episode of Dear Parents, Love Aydian. I'm your host, Aydian Dowling, and today is a very special episode. It's actually an episode for teachers. If you're watching this video, it's because you have found out that you have a trans student, and maybe you've never had a trans student before, and maybe you're just looking for some tips and some insight on how to make your student feel safe and have the best environment in which for them to learn. So, it's not much different than any other student, but there are three things for you to keep in mind. The first thing is that the way you treat your trans student is going to set the stage for how the faculty and other staff treat this child, as well as how the students treat the child. They're going to look to you, so if you treat them in a demeaning way, if you ignore the validation of their trans identity, if you laugh or make jokes, then the other students and faculty are going to feel as if they too can act the same way. So make sure that you're treating this trans student with respect, just like you would any other student, and with the same oomph and love of making kids have an environment in which learning and education can benefit them for their futures. So set the stage just like you would any other kid. Don't make it different or feel weird, because it's actually not that different and not that weird. They just have a few other things that we're going to get to that can make them feel a little more welcome. So the second thing I want you to think about and remember that's very important is pronouns and name matter. So if you don't know what your trans students' pronouns are or what their chosen name is, because what you might have on your roster might be different from what they actually go by with their friends and, maybe even their family members. So you want to make sure that those names fall in line with one another. Same thing with the pronouns. Pronouns can be very, very validating and just make people feel good. It's something so simple. And one way that you can make your trans kid feel good is, if you have an opportunity to maybe take them out of class or come up and have a private conversation with them about what their name is and what pronouns they have chosen for themselves. And then use that name and use those pronouns. Make a note on your roster, possibly. Remind yourself, don't call out that name, call out this name when you're doing, attendance checking. Little things like that. And I think the other thing to remember too is that, these things could potentially fluctuate. So always check in with the student if you're unsure. And the third thing to remember, which is probably one of the most important things, is that privacy is very important and it matters. So don't go about telling all of the other teachers that you have a trans student. Don't, tell one student that that child is trans if it's not a publicly known thing. You just want to remember that this child just wants to live a life like every other kid. And once we start telling identities that maybe people don't feel comfortable sharing is when we start exposing things about our lives that we're not really prepared to handle publicly. And I think it's important that we remember that when we're dealing with these youth, that they're just doing their best and maybe they don't want every person to know that they're trans. And that's really it. There's no other special instructions. It's really just set the stage and make it safe and welcoming for that trans kid. Know their name and pronouns. Create an opportunity for yourself to remember them and remember their privacy. Privacy matters. Their trans status is not something for you to be shouting from the rooftops. Of course, there may be times in which the benefit of the child, it's best for someone to know that they're transgender, but those opportunities are not going to be presenting themselves very often. It all has this waterfall effect to setting the stage on how other people can treat this trans kid. And that's all you want to do, is you want to create that really safe and welcoming environment for this child to grow and prosper and learn and just be the best adult they can possibly be, right? And we're going to teach others around us how to treat trans people, which is just like everyone else. And I hope that everybody in your classroom is treating one another with love and respect and kindness, and also the ability to have conversations that may be hard, but be able to support one another through those conversations. And that might presents itself having a trans kid. So always remember that number one, which is you set the stage. So make sure you're setting a fair and loving space for people to grow. And that's all of my notes. So what I also want to say to all of our teachers is like, thank you so much for all of your hard work. This is a really tough time, and I don't want you to think I don't know that and everyone else watching this video doesn't know that. So thank you on behalf of myself, my family, and I'm sure all the people watching today. Thank you so much for all your love and your service during this time. If you like this video, please, it helps me so much if you give it a thumbs up. If you want to share it, if you feel like there's other teachers or staff, faculty that might benefit from this video, please send it to them. Share it on your social media. If you want to catch more episodes of Dear Parents Love Aydian and maybe some other special editions like this teacher edition, go ahead and hit the red subscribe box below and turn your notifications on so you'll know when the next video drops. Thanks for watching. Peace.